Guillermo, Emil Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout, my takes on all things considerable. It's Friday the 13th. It's our lucky day, right? It is. Did you notice that Lindsey Vonn, when she crashed, that run last week where she broke her leg, she was wearing number 13. So I'm just saying, maybe it isn't as lucky, but and actually she's lucky because she survived, and she put out that post yesterday saying, I got another surgery, I broke a tibia, but I measure success differently now. I mean, criticize her all you want, but she went for it. She risked, she didn't make it, but no regrets, right? That's what happened. She broke a leg. And she was number 13, but it's still a lucky number. She was there at 41. She was there. Hats off to Lindsey Vonn. Hope you feel better. Hey, so today we'll talk maybe a little Olympics, but the big news still is ice, the retreat of ice, what that means. We're going to get into that, get into the I guess it's a Davos for the bureaucrats. I mean, Davos was for the bureaucrats and the high and mighty, the elites, right, in Switzerland. But now in Munich, they're having these meetings, and it's more for the movers without money, the public movers. They're there. AOC is there. I saw a report where AOC is making more money, bringing in more money for her presidential run, and she's only a point behind Kamala Harris. They're both trailing Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is in Munich. He was in Davos. So we'll get into that. I want to talk about the shutdown, what the shutdown means for ICE and TSA and all that. We'll get in a little Olympics talk about that Pam Bondi hearing. Man, Pam Bondi. What an ugly. You thought that Kristi Noem was pretty ugly, and especially when her lips go all crazy, But Pam Bondi, I like that South Park characterization of Pam Bondi, where she has so much makeup, including the brown stuff. Oh, and the brown stuff, it's not really makeup, it's the residue from all the kind of licking she does to the one person she's out there pleasing, the President of the United States. She is a POTUS devotee. Audience of one. Now, I have an audience of one, and it's not Donald Trump. But I usually have, Anyway, we're going to get into all of that here on Emil Amok's Takeout. I am a real newsman. I do these monologues here on YouTube. Usually, every other day or so. I just pop up if I got something off my chest to get it off my chest. But I do these one-man shows, theatrical one-man shows it's journalism with punchlines. I mean, and you can catch them. I'm doing my next show at the Potrero Stage, Emil Amok Anchorman, March 14th, 15th, 16th, and 19th. You can get your tickets at playgroundsf.org. I'm doing that in March. At the end of February, the beginning of March, I'm in Fresno. Yes, why would you be in? I like Fresno. They got me eating raisins. I'm addicted to. I'll be at the Fresno Rogue Festival, and so check out the Fresno Rogue Festival. 69 Emil Amok, a new iteration. The iterations are all new because he keeps doing stuff all the time, and you know who he is. And so the show changes. Catch it at the Fresno Rogue Festival. That's at the end of the month, the 27th, 28th. Check out the roguefestival.org. Those are my next appearances. I enjoy them. And then sometimes, you'll see things that I say here pop up there, whatnot. On Fridays, we like to bring on my good friend and colleague to talk about the news, talk about the week, in the wake of the week, as it were. Daniel Phil Gonzalez, who's a Professor Emeritus, Asian American Studies, College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University. Here he is. Where is he? There, there he is, my friend,
Hello.
Daniel Phil Gonzalez. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hey, hey, how you doing, man? It
It,
has been a heck of a week.
it has, and it was a good weekend. We haven't talked since the Bad Bunny Bowl, and I don't even know how you feel. Although I can guess how you feel about Bad Bunny. I guess you know how I must feel to see all those vegetable plant people out in the
I thought that was
midfield.
cool. I thought that was a genius way to get that done. I said, how could they possibly get that set with all of that stuff
Yeah,
imitating sugarcane, right?
yeah.
How did they get that done? And then there it
you,
is.
you get the plant people. You
Yeah.
can't do it with CG. You do it with plant people. And I guess I'm just assuming that if it's a politically correct kind of show, that the plant people all had to be vegan, right? The plant people, they had to be vegan. So
I'm sure they are. They're artists. They're artists, and a lot of artists lean to, the vegan side, and
yeah.
so that makes sense.
Well,
Also,
I just say that the set, the music, the scenes, right? Going
oh
from
yeah, it
it's
was
a
great.
whole
It
love
was
thing.
great.
Yeah,
It's storytelling. It was a
yeah,
great narrative, you
yeah.
know,
Well, it's
punctuated by at the ending, we are America, and or Americas,
yeah. Hey,
North, South,
Dan,
Central.
this it was like you said, the American story, the
Yeah,
American
yeah.
story.
No
Yeah.
matter how the white supremacists feel about it,
Hey,
they can keep on denying reality, right? They keep denying the reality, and then
all
they'll go
right,
and check out Kid Rock,
all
who
right,
has
Dan.
openly said, "I like him young."
He did say that he has the pedophiles anthem
Yep,
uh,
there he
on
is.
his charts. But here's the thing about the show, because I hang out, or I don't hang out, but I see these non people of color, and they'll say things like, well, they didn't do a word of it was it
They
no
did.
nothing
They
was in
did.
English.
Gaga sang in English.
Yeah, well, I also said, look, the only thing I understood in English was, the phrase in the back on the scoreboard, or
Right, right, right,
love conquers hate, and then when he started mentioning the countries, right? He mentioned Canada, so I said, oh
right.
well,
Well,
you got me
but it
for
was
Canada.
Canada.
Ghana, yeah, yeah, but I knew what it was, and
No,
and
but
and
it's
then
cool. I like Canada. It sounds
yeah,
better
all
than
right.
Canada.
So here's what came to mind when he did all that. What came to mind was it was Donald Trump who, the year he took over, the first year, declared English as the official language, and that is
That's old.
well, but it's a signal. Whenever someone tries to say English is the official language, it is old because it is a thing that all the non
That
that
was
all
one of
the
Hayakawa, the former president Hayakawa of San Francisco State College, when it was still a college, right?
yeah
Of course, successfully ran after only a few years of being president at SF State. He successfully ran for senator and
yeah
was senator of the state of California to the great U.S. Congress for one term.
yeah. Well,
And I've said before, but other people probably haven't heard it. Our nickname for him while he was on campus was the Sleeper.
oh yeah, because he had
He
narcolepsy.
had narcolepsy, and so everybody said that was propaganda. They smashed on us and said that's typical radical socialist stuff. And then guess what his nickname was after about 2 months?
Sleeping Sam.
Sleeper.
Hey, so well, I mean, but I know that he used English only. It's a tool that has been used throughout the years. But as soon as Donald Trump said, "Yeah, we're making this," signs an executive order
Sure.
and says, "Hey, English only." I knew, we know what this is about, right?
Yep.
We've seen the argument. This is what's coming, and so that's why we have ICE.
Right.
That's why
He
we
can
have
make the official language, but here's the funny part about all of that. The people who one of the things that they're trying to do is nullify people's citizenship, right? Especially
right.
if they were naturalized.
Mhm.
Okay, so and they want to nullify second and third generation citizenship because they want to nullify birthright citizenship if one or more of the parents right?
Mhm.
And we're not citizens, so they want it, or we're here undocumented or illegal, right?
Mhm.
That's what they want to do. That's what they want to
Yeah.
accomplish. So
Yeah.
you have to accept that. You have to accept that that is the goal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then
No.
everything else, well, I'm saying you have to accept it. It's not you, it's the
Yeah.
general public. They still don't get it.
They think he's
Members of
just
our own communities, the Asian American communities, the Vietnamese, the Filipinos, they still, some of the South Koreans, they
right.
resist that, you know?
Right, because we know that he's our president. He's just doing what's right. Correct? I mean, he's just doing what's good for America.
Yeah,
This
well,
is
there's
what's
some
good for America.
Filipinos now that are concerned. There's some Filipinos that are concerned. People in LA, even South Korean immigrants are concerned down in LA,
Mhm.
and they should be, you know?
Hey Dan, what's going to happen though if he goes back to generations? Like, all right, I think my mom had a green. I don't think my mom had a green card yet, but she did ultimately, and then she became a citizen. But when she had me, I don't think she. I don't know what her status was. She might have been. She might have had a green card. I know my father was. He was one of the first who came in the 20s, so he was not a citizen until later, right? If I'm born in the 50s, Filipinos were allowed to be citizens after World War II.
Yeah.
Right. And so he might have been a citizen, but there might be some people who fall through the cracks and maybe their parents weren't citizens all the way back then. Would they be susceptible to any kind of revision or would
Well,
they be grandfathered in?
of course, they would try to get everybody. They would try to get everybody. Okay,
Mm,
so whether or not both parents or one is clearly a citizen, my father was in the war. He fought U.S. military, and so he was given the alternative when they actually disbanded his unit. Everybody was signing up for citizenship, but some people were saying no. And my
yeah.
father was among those initially who said no. But the colonel who was the authority to sign off, right,
Mm,
on what your status was, argued with my dad and said, look, life here, even though it may improve, is a gamble. But
yeah.
life in the U.S., however racist the place is, right, can actually be better for you, especially if you want to raise a family. And my dad was, had already been courting my mother, and so that convinced him.
So he was willing to go back.
He was going to just go back and stay in the Philippines. He was going
Yeah.
to reject the American citizenship.
There are a lot of Filipinos like that because of the hassle that Filipinos lived through. During that period, there was the anti-miscegenation. There was racism because of the jobs and because of the women. Taking white women, and uh, the you know and then when they had the self deportation orders,
Yeah,
my feeling was a lot of people are like they are now. They just sort of hid. They just like tried to stay out of view.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
I mean that there wasn't that you have people in Minnesota who because of ICE they didn't let their kids go to school. They
Yep.
didn't do doctor's appointments. They
And
didn't do
if
things
they,
that
and if
they.
they did that here, if ICE committed the same acts here, which
Mm,
I consider criminal, and everybody else would consider them criminal as well. These are criminal acts.
yeah,
These people are way beyond any notion of authorized use of force. Okay,
yeah,
so if they're criminal acts, they will be held accountable. Okay, Trump is, whether or not he survives, is going to be out. Okay, and there's no way that they will be able to screw up the voting process well enough so that he either wins or the Republicans win the presidential race. I think it's going to be a calamity for Republicans, but I'm also not stupid enough to think that the Democrats have got a way paved for 4 years safely. The 2 year turnaround is greater history in America than
yeah.
a 4 year success. And so Obama, he showed 2 terms, 2 full terms, but each 2 year turnaround, they lost ground, and they lost
Yeah,
ground badly. You
yeah,
know,
there was a diminishing sense of his power, and
also representation in Congress.
yeah, by time he was lame duck, he was lame duck, and here's Trump a lame duck. He will be a true lame duck if he loses the midterms, and who knows what kind of stops he'll pull to reverse that. but
But
you know,
it'll become even more evident, right,
mm,
than the violence and the unconstitutionality, right, of the actions of ICE. It'll be even more evident if, because not only because people are paying greater attention, but because the Democrats, many of them are on the ball now, and
mm,
they're saying here these are violations of not only the First Amendment, okay, but the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and Seventh
yeah,
Amendment as well as the 14th Amendment, and they're explaining it, okay.
yeah.
So
Well,
they're
well,
educating the public.
well, people are beginning to understand that the Trump presidency, uh, is afloat because it does illegal acts and unconstitutional acts,
Yep.
and it does all these things that, I mean, even the idea of tariffs. Tariffs are unconstitutional because it's the president does not have these powers.
And
It's
there are two court decisions now that have
yeah,
taken exactly that position.
right, and it's potentially illegal, right? Because it's not in just not in the Constitution, and he doesn't have that power. The
Well,
Supreme
yeah,
Court,
it's a congressional power.
yeah, whatever the Supreme Court says is going to be a real setback if it if they
If they agree with
rule.
the president, if they
Anyway,
support the president, then the argument for impeachment of Supreme Court justices, right, is going to
mhm,
be easier to make. And the hope that we should have is that the Democrats not only take the lower house, that they take the Senate as well. And if
yeah,
they do, my question is, do they have the audacity, right, and the
mhm,
commitment to law? They keep saying that, right? If they do have and accountability, will they move on impeachment? It should be instant. Remember how quickly they got the second impeachment together?
oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they're practiced. A lot of those people, Jerry Nadler's leaving, but a lot of those people are the same people who brought both causes of impeachment. Okay. So it's going to be easy for them to get that back up again.
yeah. They just have to go back to the blueprint has already been established.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Search and replace, man.
yeah.
Search and replace.
Everything is templated. You know, in politics, right?
Oh, yeah.
What, boilerplate template. I mean,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
ready for it, and they've got the Trump template all set. So, all right. So that with the ICE retreat, despite what Homan says that they're still going to
Well,
go at
people on
it.
the ground, though, people on the ground are still saying we haven't seen them move. Okay,
Yeah.
we're still seeing some of the same activity, and then in Ohio and also in Maine, right?
Mhm.
There's action there, and there's also action in New York. It's low grade, but
Mhm.
nonetheless,
Yeah,
you know,
the thing is, there's action and there's, you got to point every time you got to point to these instances that we know that came out in congressional testimony,
right,
like the Montessori teacher, Miriam
right.
Martinez. I mean that is, you know,
Oh man,
I mean, it's the to hear the bragging of the ICE agents to say, "Hey, I shot her 5 times and I got 7 holes."
fired. Yeah, she got seven
Yeah,
holes. Put that in your playbook.
yeah.
Was that what an arrogant
That
son
that
of a you know
that
what? I mean,
that that that's
that's
the
really
mentality.
gross.
That's
That's
the
really gross. So people cannot accept that. That the kind of people who would want these jobs, right,
yeah,
are those kinds of people. They want violence, man.
yeah. Yeah, they're out for a good time. They're trigger happy,
I got my
and
gun. Got my
and
gun.
they were told though that they could do this, right? And they feel like, oh, I think I heard Bongino or Bovino. I've heard Bovino, not Bongino. Bongino's the other guy.
He's been out.
Yeah, he's
He's
out.
been out.
But Bovino,
He's back on the podcast again.
yeah. So I just think that uh, there you got to remember those instances. They're bad, and if that's the standard for ICE, you know that they're coming
Well,
close
it's
or near
yeah.
that.
It's
Yeah,
also Border Patrol.
yeah. Border
The,
Patrol.
the
Yeah,
two guys were Latino, right?
mhm,
Who
yeah,
shot Preddy.
yeah,
Okay, they were both Border Patrol. They
yeah.
were CBP, not ICE.
Right. I've done some stories on Border Patrol in my years, and I actually, it's a tough job. I mean, when I was covering the Valley, they were going down to the border. They lived up here,
just on
then
the border.
went
Yeah,
down to went down to the valley to to do their jobs. It was and very sympathetic. I was very sympathetic, uh, but I didn't see the wanton recklessness in or the lack of professionalism in their actions when I did those stories. Now, though, people say and reports say that this is what Border Patrol does. This is
yeah.
it's a low, you know, um, threshold in terms of ethics, low threshold in terms of, hey, it's like they do what's justified to get the job
Right.
done,
Well,
and
one of
that's
the reasons, remember when Biden was trying to get the progressives to agree that they would fund the hiring of more border patrol?
yeah,
One of the reasons that the progressives were resistant was exactly what you're saying.
yeah,
That it sounds good, right? That you want to close the border and do all that stuff, but the way that that is enforced, right, is
yeah,
often inhumane. Not in every instance, not in
yeah.
every instance, but it is inhumane. Uh,
Well, so what do you?
I've had students and colleagues go
Mhm,
down through the desert, on the Arizona Mexico border, leaving gallons of water, right, along known trails,
mhm,
coyote trails, right, and people, right wingers, happily go through there, shooting up those jugs of water, so that th're not there for the relief of people who are entering
yeah,
illegally. So
yeah.
there's always this element in American society. There's this great tension between people who understand the humanity of it and the people who understand the humanity of it and want to destroy that notion of
Or
humanity.
people who want to just look at this immigration crisis and see it not as a civil thing, but as a make it criminal. And it's this is the reason why immigration lawyers are different. Immigration law is different because they're not criminals in the same way that the drug dealers and the killers are.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
a visa
Well,
overstay is a little different. Come someone crosses the border, still a little different.
yeah, well, white Christian nationalism, regardless of who practices it, because people of color often practice white Christian nationalism, right?
Yeah.
Um, I know that's hard for people to understand, but I just had a conversation with one of my colleagues. In fact, he was the person who started the Stop Asian Hate
Oh yeah, yeah,
project, and
yeah.
we agreed that the problem is you got a lot of people who, because of their religious beliefs, are actually their notions about how America should treat uh, undocumented people is consistent with the same kind of perspective and value set that is announced from the pulpit in white Christian nationalist churches. It's exactly the same. And he said, no surprise, that exists out there, and that's a major element of Chinese in this instance,
Yeah.
or in these instances, because I've had several experiences with Chinese students whose names are spelled in the style of the Mandarin Anglicization of their
Oh, yeah,
names, with the
yeah.
X's, instead
Yeah.
of X's and Z's instead of C's that we're used to in the earlier Cantonese, right, immigration
Right.
set.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's really easy to see. Uh,
So what you're saying is that it's a conservative Christian viewpoint, harsh
yeah,
and
and
inhumane.
yeah. Well, I'll agree with your use of conservative, right, in quotes,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
it ain't conservative.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
not
it's
conservative.
far more radical than that.
Traditional conservative was reflected by Ronald Reagan when he said we need immigration.
Oh yeah,
Immigration makes the nation strong.
that
That's
there
traditional conservatism.
right. Well, no, traditional conservatism wouldn't be just Reagan. It would be William F. Buckley, who was all for open borders
Sure,
because he
that's
saw
true. That was
yeah,
kind of radical. I remember
yeah.
that. You
Well,
must be
he saw
you
the
must be aging.
contradiction.
You're aging gently.
Well, I know, but he saw the contradiction between he was for free markets and how can you not have free open borders if you're not in, and be for free markets and not be for free markets,
That's right.
and vice versa. So
That's
and
inconsistent.
and now everything is flipped over. Closed
Sure.
borders, closed Americas, but we're
Capitalism, even the more modern sense of domestic capitalism as being consumerism, right? Right.
right.
Even that is dependent on immigration.
Yeah,
Right?
it is. Hey, while you mentioned capitalism, the big capitalist news today is that inflation actually went down a little bit from the beginning, still about 2.4% instead of 2.7. And, no matter what the number, this idea that, hey, I don't care if it seems to go up or down. What are you going to say to me with my $800 PG&E bill? You're going to tell me that there's no inflation?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the idea of lived experience is like you can take your stats and you can, shove me, where, But Trump is saying, hey, look at, we're the greatest. We're the greatest first year ever. And we know that that's not true.
Oh yeah, the greatest president ever, right?
Yeah.
Biden was the worst president ever, right? He's
Yeah.
got the
Hey,
best economy ever.
the best econ. Hey, look, so Dan, if ICE is leaving and they're going to have some problems with getting out this, mass deportation thing because they still believe in mass deportation.
They keep saying it.
Yeah,
They keep saying it.
I keep looking at that Homeland Security post that said 100 million deported, and then essentially that's when America will achieve paradise. I mean, it was so stark, and like that's like deporting everybody.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, that would be deporting one
Yeah.
third of the population of the country, man.
Yeah. So if ICE is leaving and we see all these, things
I would be deported. I'd get deported to San Francisco.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm being deported to California. Hey, so if ICE is retreating, it's another retreat for Trump. Bad Bunny's the winner this first week, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, like a lot of people, unless we speak Spanish every day, it's hard to keep up with somebody who is speaking fluently. So I could pick up some of what he was saying, but the interesting thing was it was all good. It's all about happiness, rejoicing in familial practices, familial kind of well-known familial practices, celebrations.
Oh,
right?
There you go. All right, so you got cut off there, Dan.
Yeah, no, but he was telling a narrative about the celebration of family and the celebration of events, life events, right?
Yeah.
That we all have in common. What he was showing is, we're regular people that are commemorating, celebrating stuff. What really gets the white people is they can't dance, man.
Right. I know they can't. Well, it's that, and that they didn't understand it. But look, when I was growing up listening to rock and roll, I was speaking English, and I didn't know 90% of the lyrics that I was listening to. Right? I didn't know any of the lyrics.
The Carole King lyrics were pretty easy. But anyway.
But the Carole King, I like Carole King. Can't dance to Carole King. I'm talking about Led Zeppelin. I didn't know what Led Zeppelin. They're ripping off the black blues.
So
guys.
you didn't understand the metaphor? Squeeze my lemon. You didn't understand.
No. I got it. I got it.
Okay. See, I just contradicted you right there. You know some of the lyrics, dude.
I knew some, but not all.
Led Zeppelin,
Black Dog, Big Black Dog. Let's see. Saturday. Look, Saturday Heaven. Look, you had to look at we didn't have all the tools that the kids have now to look at the lyrics. Look at the hip hop lyrics now.
Right.
Oh my God! Did he say that? I thought he said bigger. I thought he said bigger. I thought that's what.
Yeah. No, you can't.
That's what gets me. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know any, like 90% of the lyrics when I was growing up, and I was a disc jockey too. Not 90% of the lyrics I didn't understand. And but the ones you could dance to, I mean, you couldn't dance to Carole King.
Yeah.
Let the earth move under your feet. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like
Well,
Carol King.
but she wrote all those songs that the Drifters did,
Oh, that's right. She was a
and all
songwriter.
of the
That's right. She was
Drifters stuff was very danceable.
Under the Boardwalk.
Yeah,
Oh well, you could do a little
Spanish
something.
Harlem.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Come on,
Spanish
man.
Harlem. All right, but they weren't like they. It was sort of like a slow. So you could do
Yeah,
like a
man.
touch.
I mean,
Those were touch dances. Touch
hey,
dances.
here's the news. It was Latino.
Oh
The beat, and the composition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I get. It. Look,
Even the lyricism of the music is Latino, man.
I
So so we've been listening to that stuff forever. The dance, the basic dance for all of that stuff was the calypso, right?
yeah.
The cross
Yeah.
between the cha
Kind
cha
of.
and the calypso. Yeah,
And then you could do the merengue, and you could do the like little
sure.
salsa
Oh
steps,
whoa, oh
sideways,
whoa,
forward.
oh my God.
Okay, all right. No, you're right. It's the dance. Can you? It's
Well,
welcome
look,
to the
what was
dance.
the sensual dance of the 30s and 40s? I think it was a thing called the freaking tango. I think that's
No,
what it was.
oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. What did the jitterbug? The jitterbug was in there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that like a Spanish fly thing? The jitterbug? No, all right, all right. The tango. Hey, and the tango. That's a wild dance. The wild
The
dance.
tango, the
can
cha
relate
cha.
it.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Rumba, the rumba. I mean, these were all the romance dances of the 30s, 40s, and then even in the post-war era.
yeah,
Right? That's when the cha-cha got big.
yeah, there's nothing like going to a senior center and getting dance lessons from Ben Menor.
Yeah,
Ben Menor, he'll tell you how to cha. Oh, here's the difference between the cha-cha.
yeah. You gotta. That's a great name, man. In fact, I owe him a couple of pictures. He said we were reminiscing over conferences and stuff in the early 70s, right? The beginning of the youth movement among Filipinos, where the identity youth movement started and it got really strong. And he said, "Yeah, wait, you got pictures of that?" And I said, "Yeah, So I'm sending him some, and he wanted to know if he was in the pictures, of course. And I said, I don't recall that you're in the pictures. So, I was shooting other people.
I mentioned Filipino American Ben Menor because
Great dancer. Great dancer.
He's a good dancer. Good dancer.
The guy, he hung out at the same clubs that I did. We used to see each other all the time.
All right, so Dan, I know we weren't going to talk about the Olympics too much, but there is this controversy over the French judge. It's always a French judge.
Oh man,
right? I mean, because the Americans and she's Asian American, Madison Chalk, her husband, her partner, they're
great couple and incredibly beautiful dance.
Yeah, and
really.
they're defending gold medalists.
Yes,
and they should just by rights by showing up.
No. The French were really good as well, but they weren't that good. I don't think they were as good as Chalk and her.
Well, the thing is, I think on 5 of the 9 ballots, they gave it to the Americans. That should be a majority. But one of the ballots for the French, by the French judge, really overwhelmingly was for the French, and that tipped it over to the French side. And
all you got to do is roll the tape. All you got to do is roll the tape, and then when you see Ms. Chalk's reaction, to the points awarded, right? I mean, that was it. They knew that they were only second.
See, I like Madison Chalk because she's a Hawaiian, right? Asian American from Hawaii, and Chalk got to be her father's name, right?
Yep.
So
he's sitting right there. There. Both sets of parents are in the audience watching this stuff.
Oh, I didn't see that. I missed that.
But... and the two moms, their two moms are very close friends. So
well, they're in-laws. They're in-laws. And that's the thing. If you're in,
that's right.
You gotta.
Yeah.
So I was watching it. I'm into the skating now.
My wife's watching it right now.
Ilya Malin, the quad god, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow, he's something. He's something.
I call him the quadcopter, man. That guy flies.
Yeah. Well, he didn't go last year. It was 4 years ago. That was Nathan Chen's year. And so now Nathan Chen didn't go back because he knew he wasn't going to compete with a quad god. I
Quite
mean,
good.
he does a quadruple axle. No one does. So everyone's going to look at him tonight. But then also Chloe Kim's interesting. She doesn't have. She dropped the blonde hair, and
Right.
she's like looking Asian. And her boyfriend is Miles Garrett from the NFL. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, that's the one thing that I wish Bad Bunny had done. At the wedding of the young couple, what if they made it like because look, you want to talk about the American story in the 21st century? It's all about mixed marriages. It's about the mestizo cult. Why didn't you do something like that, like a
Well,
Filipino and a Mexican?
once again, we academics were discussing this in the 60s and 70s.
Oh
So
yeah,
none
yeah,
of this
yeah.
stuff comes as a surprise.
Oh yeah.
When in the late 70s, I was already talking about the likelihood of intermarriages between Latinos and Asians. And
Hmm.
people are saying, what? They don't even live in adjacent communities. And I said, yes, they do. It depends on which area, right?
Yeah.
But they do live in adjacent communities. And I said, you're forgetting about two things. One, where they go to college, all right? And two, where they find work. So if you see those two populations represented fairly well, with what Edna Bonasic calls critical mass, it doesn't mean a majority of people. It means like 20, 25%, and they're going to interact. And so the likelihood of those intermarriages happens.
Yes, that and also the coincidence of a condom shortage in that neighborhood. that would help a lot. That would help a lot. So no, I thought that would have made the Bad Bunny thing great if he had a black and a Latino or an Asian and a Latino or something, or white and Latino. I mean, the thing is, well, Latinos are considered white really from Spain, right?
Yeah, well, that's
Except
the
that then
problem.
yeah,
You've seen the census results, right?
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
reviews. And what they do is they say white or Latino, non-white.
Non-white, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and it's like, wait a minute. But the Bad Bunny thing brought that out. It said,
Yeah.
wait a minute, there are black Latinos and there are white Latinos, and
Right.
then one woman said, and there's mestizo. So you got everything, in between.
It's all mixed. It's all mixed.
Yeah.
But
And is that new to us?
no. In fact, what isn't new is how when the Filipinos came in the 20s, how the anti-miscegenation laws, the laws against mixing,
Yeah.
and they really were there established to prevent mixing of black and white, but it prevented the mixing of white with anything other than white. And
No, it was. I'll just add one thing to what you just said. It was
Yeah.
the original intent was not just black and white. It was also Native American and white.
oh yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Native
those were the
American.
two groups.
And then the Filipinos got in the way, and
Well, then it became Orientals, right? It became
Yeah.
Orientals, and then they used the term Mongolian or Mongoloid.
right,
You know.
right, and so, and we kind of screwed that up, Filipinos, huh? I mean, they rioted,
Why is
right?
it always about sex with you? I mean,
I know they rioted. They rioted over Filipinos with white women because the
yeah.
Filipinos.
What are the two things that bring people to violence? Right. One of them is you took my job, you took my money, and the other one is you took my girl. You're messing with our
Took my
women.
girl? Yeah,
You
I know. Well, she was around. She didn't like you. You didn't pomade your hair like the
I dressed
Filipinos
better.
do.
I dressed better, and I knew how to dance.
Yeah,
could
well,
do
that
the
was it,
calypso.
right?
I could do
And
the
then-
calypso, Every
and
time
then-
a new dance came out, I could handle it, man.
Yeah.
You know
All
how
right.
to do the twine? How about the
Oh yeah,
Philly?
the twine. Yeah, the twine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the twine is the twine like the jerk.
the twine. The twine has got a hip thrust in it,
A derivative of the jerk, wasn't it?
sort of, but it's got a hip thrust. The major feature is hip thrust.
The twine. I remember Alvin.
Cash and the Crawlers.
It was Alvin something, right?
Alvin Cash and the Crawlers.
Yeah. Twine time. Twine time.
It's
Okay.
twine time.
Okay. Hey, look. Let's talk about a little bit about the Save Act. because that's something that happened the other day. The, Trump got some reversals, like they got some Republicans voting against the tariffs,
Oh
and
yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. Yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly right. It's not only that. It's not only those voters. How about the Munich
Oh yeah,
contingent?
we'll talk about Munich too,
Oh, okay, all right.
but the tariffs, uh,
That's
it's
Canada. The Canada,
yeah,
that they got rid of that. The judge got rid of that. Okay,
yeah,
and they want to look at the Mexico situation as well.
yeah,
It's too late. I think that's the point that I wanted to make. Was that it's too late. Canada has already made deals with China.
yeah,
Canada has already made deals with a number of other countries, and in some instances, they're selling the same goods that the United States used to sell to
to
those
China,
to
yeah,
those yes. And so look at the soybeans, right? I mean,
yeah.
one of the biggest things that you know that really hurt the American economy, and it really hurt farmers, American
Yeah.
farmers.
See, here's the thing. Mark Carney, the prime minister,
Yeah,
didn't make it to Munich because of that the mass shooting in British Columbia
yeah,
this week. And this is the thing. The news has been so kind of a lot of news has not been covered. They've been covered. It's been covered in the little crawl, but it hasn't been really broadly covered so people understand the significance. So we didn't get much coverage about the the British Columbia shooting. That usually doesn't happen because Americans love shooting incidents. This is the biggest one in Canada, I think. It's out in the hinterlands of British Columbia, town about 6,000, and it was a girl in the school. She went in, and it exposes the mental health needs and concerns. Carney did the right thing by staying home. This is a significant thing, but Carney has been very vocal about the disruption or the disruption that has occurred in the relationships between NATO countries and the U.S. and how we have to go it alone. But the message out of NATO or out of Munich was America can't go it alone. America can't afford to go it alone. We need each other. So there's kind of
that's
move toward
once again
reconciliation.
that's part of the nationalist bravado, right?
Yeah,
And the bravado is accompanied by arrogance, and unfortunately, it's also accompanied by stupidity and ignorance. So when you have a combination of all of those characteristics, this is what you get. You get chaos, and you get where we are now. Remember, people credit Trump for wanting chaos because he can manage chaos. Is that stupid? That kind of observation is just as idiotic as the Trump administration itself.
The thing is,
shut up with that kind of stuff. It was really stupid.
But the chaos thing works in some instances, like in campaigns, because if you have people who are so close together, who they can't decide, how they want to vote or what the way you break up an electorate is by inserting chaos, confusion, and now suddenly, all the electrons are spread, and then you go for them and you try to gather the most. Now that's a chaos theory that works in politics, during the campaign. Sometimes. But if you know that 35% is going to vote one way and 35% is going to vote another way, and you got all these people in the middle kind of glommed together, you want to explode them up, and then, like I said, gather.
That's one of the reasons that I'm encouraging people to go independent.
Well, they're going to be the people who are going to be catered to. They're going to be the people who
we have to make. If we're going to have a stupid two-party system, right, rather than a more intelligent parliamentary style system. I mean, the advantage of the parliamentary systems, number one, right, is that it's more representative, right, of people's ideological convictions, their values and all that. The second thing is you can get rid of members of the leadership, almost overnight, so you don't have a continuing problem with a guy that's obviously put his own nation in the dumper, right? And alienated the rest of the freaking world in every way that he can, right?
Yeah.
And you know, he wouldn't be there anymore in a parliamentary system. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Donald Trump, for being a lame duck, essentially short timer, has done a lot of damage that's going to take generations to fix.
Yep.
Well, let's talk briefly about the Pam Bondi thing. Uh,
Oh,
I mean,
God.
that was a display. I think we talked about her. That I mean, she's just like,
Yeah, but that appearance was over the top. I mean, that appearance was just really something. I mean, she appeared in the Senate, and this time it was the lower house,
yeah.
and she was just arrogant.
Well,
And
and
people,
every
the people who were observers weren't using the word arrogant, you
yeah.
know. And I said, "What? You don't see arrogance in the way she's behaving, man?" You know?
Well, she was combative. She was vulgar in the same way that Donald Trump is vulgar.
Sure.
I mean, it's just unbecoming. And all right, you're the lawyer, or you're you
I'm an
study.
educated in the law. I'm a student of the law.
So when the AG acts this way, what kind of confidence does it give you in the law?
Yeah, thanks for the
I'm-
rhetorical question. I'll give you a rhetorical answer. None.
yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's all we. It's a yes. These are
None
all yes.
whatsoever. I mean, but she was all for that in January, man. I
Yeah.
mean, you could
Yeah.
see it all coming. It's just people were once again. It can't get that bad, right? And there's got to be. And I said, you know, the only real there's two things that can stop them from enacting the worst kind of stuff possible through the legal system, right? And that is the courts themselves, right? The judges themselves, right? And then eventually law and policy, which
Yeah.
means the vote. So
Yeah.
that's what has to happen, right? You can't depend on one or the other of those. You got to have them both.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that got me when I was watching that hearing the other day is how she has her hands in everything. Epstein, ICE, everything is,
Yep.
you know, and to have someone like that in charge who is so willing to say yes to Donald Trump,
Well,
man.
remember what she said in the Senate that
Yeah.
that she's hand in glove with you know, the DNI,
Yeah.
you know, national intelligence. They work
Yeah.
together. That's also it's not necessarily unconstitutional, right? But it is not the way that the mission of each of those institutions is proscribed in law. So
Right.
while it's not unconstitutional, it's largely illegal. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a kind of commingling there of efforts that they should be independent in order to get the best possible answer, the most ethical answer.
Yes. And what were people asking? What was Gabbard doing there?
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard,
Good
Director of
Good
National
question.
Intelligence.
Wait, there was interference. We believe there was interference. It was probably by China, right?
Yeah.
And it was, but he won. He
Yeah.
won. He won overall. Trump won. Okay, so show us how that interference affected, you know, the
You
election.
know, all this is making me think that, you know, when we had this glut of news this week, and some good news, you know, the Bad Bunny, some bad news, you know. I just, this is when I go into my news meditation mode, and I just realize, and I think back to all that's happened in the past and all the things that have happened that were far worse in the past and how we've come through. And so
We have, but the volume and frequency
yeah,
of these events, right, surpasses anything that I can recall, either within my own, you know, experience as an aged person in
yeah,
approaching my my eighth decade of existence, and you know that, and then if you look at history, and we're both history fans. I mean, you're an addict. You're much
yeah.
worse.
No, not addict, but go ahead.
But yeah, I can't think of any one instance. I mean, at least of all of the stuff that was brought forward for us as an admission of corruption, right?
Yeah,
You know, Teapot Dome, all the rest of that stuff. But,
yeah. I mean, we've come through a lot, so we just have to keep the faith that the electorate will stay honest and that we can count the electorate, because
Yeah.
the vote is all we have.
Well,
in a
but the difficulty is, how are they informed?
Yeah.
Right? That's the
Yeah.
difficulty, and because there are so many sources of information, and 80% of it is bad, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah, the sources of information. Have you watched CBS News
Oh
lately?
man, I have. What do you think? You
Uh,
first.
I can't really watch it. I remember what CBS News was like. I remember when we had the avuncular, Walter Cronkite, right?
Cronkite.
And this guy Tony DeCouple, nice guy, friendly, but I don't know, most trusted man in America.
Yeah.
I
Nah.
don't know.
Well, it's not all about the people who are anchoring either.
Yeah.
It's about the guests that they have on.
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and
Well,
and all of a sudden I'm starting to see, as experts now,
mhm.
people who were rejected by Trump during the first Trump term, and they've
Yeah,
got these people on as experts from the right, and it's like, what?
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
well, the
incredible.
thing is, it's a Rolodex battle, right? And now forget the facts. It's like whose opinion versus
Yeah,
this other guy.
there it is.
The
Yeah.
balancing of opinion. Because look, here's the thing: everyone in news seems to be hemorrhaging money except the Wall Street Journal, and they actually had a pretty good article today.
Well, the Times is doing okay.
The Times is doing okay, but everyone else seems to be hemorrhaging money because they're losing to the internet. But
That's been
the
happening, but that's been happening for
yeah,
15 years. You know.
well, yeah, but
And then before that, they were losing because they were losing subscriptions.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I just think that the way to do news on the cheap is to talk about the news. So you're not actually going out there and gathering news. So you talk about it and you do opinion, because that was the whole thing about Fox. Fox said, "Well, this is opinion. This is our opinion. We can't libel you." Oh, yes, you can, and they lost that suit in the election machine case. But uh, that this is all a function of getting a greater profit margin by doing less news, more opinion, and a less informed public. But the public knows the beats of the argument. They know how to argue. They know, well, and this all started with Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh said, I'll read this so you don't have to. And then he did his thing. And everyone said, well, Rush said this. Right? I believe in him. And everyone is on this. I don't have to think for myself. I'll let Donald Trump think for me. And he doesn't even think for himself. Donald Trump has other people thinking for him. And so we have this, this chain of ignorance
you
that
know,
goes forward.
when he,
And
I will add that you can tell when he thinks for himself, because he says, "I don't know about that.
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know." Okay,
I didn't see it.
I accept that as him thinking for himself. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I'm not with Lutnick. I didn't go to
I'm
Epstein
saying,
Island.
exactly.
Oh, he took his children. Yeah, he took his children to Epstein Island. Well, I've never been there. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
And somebody's going to say that I wasn't there.
yeah,
Is her name Maxwell?
yeah. Well, I mean, so I gave her a cushier prison spot. I mean, is that my fault? I mean,
Did you hear Bondi's response to that?
what did she say?
Oh, she said, it is exactly the same level of security
Oh
as
yeah,
the place that you went. And I said, oh, do they have like squash courts? At the end.
well, I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell was able to get her hair done
Yeah,
when she appeared for that deposition the other day,
that's right.
where she said the Fifth Amendment, as a student of law, when you say the Fifth Amendment,
Yeah,
yeah, you're guilty, right? I
due
mean,
process. Due process. Oh, you mean claiming?
Yeah,
I can't. I refuse to
yeah,
state anything, because under advice of counsel, I
yeah.
have been told I should refrain from discussing this. But the rest of the statement is supposed to be, because it may tend to incriminate me. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so when you quote it, that's why you're saying, well, isn't it kind of an admission of guilt? No, it's not. It's a prevention of guilt. Okay, but when
Ah,
people use it all the time, when was it that we saw people do that in chain? sequence, right? It was during the Watergate hearings.
Oh yeah,
You know
yeah.
what? And we're going to see that again because once again, members of Congress are going to be brought before their own investigative committees, and they're going to have to answer yes or no, man.
And they said things like, yeah, I don't recall. That was a big
Well,
one.
they do that now.
Yeah, I don't recall.
They do that now. That was one of the
So
weaknesses is in the way that Mrs. Clinton,
yeah,
responded a
I,
couple
gue-
of times.
I guess that's going to come up next week. I don't know. I'm going to see. One thing we didn't talk about yet is the Save Act, and the Save Act is significant because they're trying to change the requirements for ID to vote, and some Asian Americans are very outspoken about this, saying it's going to disenfranchise a lot of Asian Americans, especially those who may be naturalized and may not have all their papers. What do you think about the Save Act? Is it a way to diminish the number of
Yes,
people of color in the voting
yes,
rolls?
yes. That's
Yeah,
once again simple response. Yes,
yeah,
it is. All you have to do is take a look at the basic pattern, right?
uh,
And the initial pattern was outright laws that that disqualified people of color from voting. It's outright laws, okay?
yeah, yeah.
And then and you have to also look at other things like property ownership
Hmm.
because Asians were precluded, right? Asian immigrants were precluded. First generation immigrants couldn't own property,
Right,
okay?
right.
And one of the reasons that some Filipinos were able to acquire property when they arrived here in significant numbers, beginning in the late teens and the early 20s of the 20th century, right, is because the American flag flew over their country.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and so then the question was, they're not citizens, they're not aliens, they're nationals, but does that
Mm.
preclude them from owning property? And the comparison was made by now Filipino attorneys who could not practice law, but they could argue law and have white lawyers represent them. And they effectively argued that no, you got to let them buy property. And that's how, for example, in the early 20s, I believe it was Dimasalang, or
Yeah. The
the big
Demodeling House, yeah.
yeah, the big
The
fraternal
fraternal.
organizations started buying up property, and the first two were the CDA, Caballeros de Dimasalang, right, and Gran Oriente.
Yeah.
Those two, right?
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I just think the Save Act. There's a lot of Asian American groups speaking out against the Save Act, saying that any kind of abuse or
That is an accurate position.
yeah,
It's a discussion of probability, right, or
yeah,
possibility, but it is an accurate presumption.
yeah. But they're saying that the abuses haven't been there, and this is only a way to keep or to disenfranchise Asian Americans. So I guess it goes to the Senate now. It goes from the House to the Senate.
Yeah, yeah.
And
We'll
then
see what
we'll
happens.
see. All right. Now, this tidbit I saw USC names its first Asian American president. Byung Soo Kim named the 13th president of USC, first Asian American, the institution's first leader of color to hold the position permanently. So, USC hiring a sounds like a Korean American.
Yeah.
And yeah, born to Korean immigrants, pursued graduate studies at USC in the late 60s. And so he was a graduate of law degrees. Oh, he earned undergraduate and law degrees from Harvard, plus a graduate degree from the London School of Economics. So here he is.
That's typical Korean overkill, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is
Asian overkill.
Byung Soo Kim. Here he is, the first president of USC. And the first question I have is, what's he going to do about the football team? Because that's his chief source of income right there.
Well, that is absolutely true. And
football
one of
team.
his biggest costs is the coaches.
The coaches, yeah. Well, that's good. You're an Asian American academic. I guess that makes you kind of proud, huh?
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. You know, one of your, I don't know, when did he graduate from Harvard?
Well, he's 53, so he's at least
So that's about,
17.
it could be 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, 17 years younger. So yeah, could be, he graduated in the 80s or so,
Okay.
80s or 90s,
Okay.
90s, and went to law school. So yeah, he says uh, ethnicity. He called ethnicity incredibly important part of his identity, though he prefers to be judged ultimately based on what I end up doing.
Uh-oh. That's kind of
So
a paraphrase of,
meritocracy, right?
well, and it's a paraphrase of MLK Jr., you know? So,
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he says USC had trouble passing when Japanese American students were sent to World War II. The university denied them their transcripts afterward, erasing their academic progress and forcing them to start over at other institutions. Did you know that?
yeah,
Yeah, USC was. They were kind of like.
it's a
I guess
private
you could
school,
do that.
man. It's a private
Yeah,
school, and they were racist as hell.
yeah. So this is a good way. They got a guy now, Kim, who is sounds like born to Korean immigrants. So he's gonna be um a little cagey, I guess. He says, this job is not about me. This job is about all of you. And my key responsibility is to always put the long-term mission and interests of the university first and foremost above everything else, including myself.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, they
the
got to
kind of
know
guy
him.
you want to hire.
They got to know him pretty well. He was interim beginning in July last year.
Yeah. So
Uh,
he's been around.
yeah, well, 6, 7 months. I guess they think that's enough. I mean, that means he didn't screw up.
Yeah, that's right. 7-month interim period. He had to eliminate over 1,000 positions to close a $200 million deficit. So
Yeah, caused by whom?
I don't know what the football
Trump.
coach.
Trump.
Oh, Trump.
Remember a lot of the contracts.
Oh yeah, yeah,
For research. He lost a lot of money, man.
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we'll look at Byung Soo Kim and watch him. He's an Asian American on the move.
Yep.
And with that, I see.
It's Korean America. Well, and the largest concentration of Korean Americans in one geographic locale is in Southern California.
Yeah,
It's all
and
around LA.
And too bad Chloe Kim from LA is associated with Princeton and not USC. How did
Yeah.
he let that happen?
Well, that's an Asian American thing too, Mr. Harvard.
Oh yeah. Now, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Because I know so many people who did that. We got Yaleys and all that,
Yeah,
falling
well,
all over our
all right,
department.
that's true.
at
That's
SF
true.
State.
That's true. I mean, yeah. All right.
I'm from the generation where Princeton was mostly white folks, but then all of a sudden, Marcos's kids,
Oh yeah, Marcos's kids
started going
Well,
to Princeton, and then he
also-
made a major investment in their library content on Philippine material, and they had already had a good library on Philippine, historical material. So, it was on our radar.
I didn't know about that, but I know that New Jersey, Princeton, a lot of Filipinos in New Jersey, and
That's a post-war thing.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I think we've got we talked about it. Bad
We covered
Bunny
a lot of
still
good
wins.
stuff. We didn't do Munich. Munich.
Oh, Munich. Oh yeah. Well, we touched on. We said Carney's not there. The NATO.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
what is your perspective on Munich?
What's important it is that it's a political group. Okay, it's bipartisan, right? And they're there to specifically contradict the Rubio-Trump position on policies involving invasions of other countries, okay, and also maintenance of the NATO structure and the American commitment, the American people's commitment, not the Trump administration's commitment, but the American people's commitment to maintenance of a strong alliance. Okay, and
So,
that's where it's at. And so
so
you need to see that members of Congress are willing to challenge Trump and Rubio frontally, that they're willing to
yeah.
challenge them right in their faces. In the meantime, Rubio is trying to manage now the blockade of oil to Cuba.
Yeah. So this is more significant. You know, a lot of the congressmen were going to head over there, and because of the shutdown, they didn't. But there's still a presence there, and I think this is they're trying to make up for Davos and everything else.
Yep, yep,
With this meeting, are we going to be closer together on
sure,
Monday?
yes. And
Or are we going?
I think they're prepping Europe and the NATO alliance in general. They're especially prepping Europe for the November takeover of hopefully both houses.
So they're saying it's going to change.
It's
Relax.
going to change.
We're gonna be okay. Well, I wish I could be
As optimistic. Wait a
I'm
minute.
not as optimistic.
We're shifting. We're going to be shifting positions here. I'm usually accusing you of being overly optimistic. Now what's happening?
Yeah, I want to be but I think optimism is the way. My feeling is that in the long term, we've gotten out of this, and we're America's survived. And I think we can survive Trump. The only thing we have to do is we have to make sure the polls go our way, because that's one thing that Trump listens to. He listens to the polls.
Well, but the only way we're going to be able to do that is that the Democrats succeed in actually having methods that work. We're beyond just citing the issues. We have to now present real methods of achieving specific goals, and they've got to work. Okay.
Oh, you're talking about solutions now. Come on.
Yes.
Solutions.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, ain't it?
We just talk about things and kick the issue down the road. We'll take care of it in 4 years when we're out of power.
Yeah. I like that earlier reference that you made to 100 million. The poster says we're gonna deport 100 million. Okay, can I play? can I?
Well, that's the thing. 100 million. They want 100 million out, and they're gonna have to take everyone who is here, born from another country.
I want to deport all of the people that are in possession of illegal guns. That's what I want to deport. And then I want to seize their guns. You know, the stuff that the white keeps saying, they're going to take away your guns. I want to do that. Yeah. Take away their guns, man.
All right. Well, Dan, excuse me. We've
gone over 60 minutes again.
Yeah, we've gone. Hey, now, so Dan, I want to thank you also for coming to see my show at
that was fun.
69
it was really
Emil Amok.
Very
Thank
enjoyable.
you very much. And unsolicited, or I guess actually I kind of solicited that testimonial, but it was at the Sheriff Stage, nice theater, and you could see it. You could see it streaming, but seeing it live was special, don't you think?
Yeah. It's just that you got to look at the audience dead in the eyes every once in a while. But everybody, that's why we were sitting in the same row as your wonderful wife.
Oh yeah.
Because the camera was in that row, and so the eye contact thing was better. And a lot of the rest of the audience was sitting down lower and right in front of you. Some of them anyway, and in center, and so you didn't look like you were making eye contact with them enough. So you gotta.
Hey, that is a good point. It's like where the camera is.
Yeah.
For the streamers, I was trying to make contact with them, and
that's right.
But you're right. That's a good point there, Dan. I appreciate it because people do want to see your eyes, and they do want to see. Is he wearing contacts or is he have glasses? And no, I don't believe in contacts. I don't have contacts.
Okay.
No contacts.
Okay.
But anyway,
I thought it was really well done. It was, and I've seen your show in different forms several times.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
short form, long form, everything, and that was very enjoyable. And I felt that even though maybe 20% of it was
Mm.
where the premises were something that I had seen before, you know, the basic
Mm.
preface,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you worked it like a lot of our friends who are comedians, right?
yeah, yeah.
They rework the premise until they get something that really gets an instant reaction, and you did that very well. I hate to
Ah.
be overly complimentary, but what the heck?
Oh well, I hate it too. I mean, it's no, no.
I'm thoroughly
Coming,
embarrassed and humiliated by your
yeah,
compliments. Yes.
yeah, coming from you, because you're generally, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan, he speaks his mind.
Well, what cracked me up is when we were having dinner, as it were, and
Yeah,
you guys were vegan, so there wasn't much vegan fare on that restaurant.
yeah. I'll say, I'll say.
You're doing salad and French fries, right? But anyway, Kathy, when we were talking about comedians that we've observed and making comparisons and things like that,
Yeah.
she turns to me and she says, "Wow, you guys follow comedy. That's something else we can talk about." So please explain to her what my relationship is
Oh
to a
yeah, yeah.
whole
No,
lot of
no, no.
comedians.
We know, we know. Yeah, the professor thing. That's just a front. That's a
No,
front.
it's not just that. I'm also a witness. When I was in high school, oh, you don't know about that part.
Oh
When I
no,
was in
no.
high school, the Jesuits were very progressive,
Mm.
and they were USF was particularly very progressive, and that was the place that started to fight against racism in basketball,
Mm.
university basketball with Bill Russell, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's in the 50s. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go to SI is because I saw the stance that USF was taking on civil rights. So when they would have big events to make money, for the university, people would rush over there and volunteer, play for free and stuff. And so you got to see in music, you got to see Vince Guaraldi, right, for
Yeah.
free. Well, we had to pay admissions and stuff, but I was talked into working the lights, and so one of the big floor lights, right? There was the stage lights, the spotlight, and let me tell you, that is not as easy as people think, because that
Oh yeah.
does generate a whole lot of heat.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
But I got to see the damn show for free a couple of times, and
Yeah.
so we had Phyllis Diller, the Smothers Brothers, right? You got Vince
Smothers, yeah.
Guaraldi, people
Tommy
like
and
that.
Dickie. Tommy and
And then
Dickie.
and then the other relationship is that the Hungry Eye
Oh
was in
yeah.
the basement of the International Hotel, the original
Right.
Hungry Eye, and
Ooh, yeah, that's right. That's right. When the original Hungry Eye, when it was on the I Hotel, was
yeah,
on Kearney.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The,
It
the
is on
entrance
Kearney.
was around the corner on Kearney.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was in the basement of the I Hotel,
I
and
remember. I remember the Hungry Eye there. Yeah, and they were trying to do something else there. That. Um, I'm thinking about the Purple Onion.
yeah, Purple Onion
No,
split.
no,
Yeah,
no, another club. But yeah, the Hungry Eye. The Hungry Eye went to Broadway,
that's right.
up by
Right next to
Vanessa's.
one of our favorite Chinese restaurants.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
has,
yeah,
has really good vegan menu too.
yeah,
Got a
yeah.
really good vegan menu. But anyway,
Well, listen. All right, Dan. Listen. Well, thank you very much again, and thanks for coming, and thanks for being part of the show. And I'll talk to you next week. But thank you for your insight as always, here on Emil Amok's Takeout. And there he goes, Professor Dan, Professor
peace
Daniel
out.
Phil Gonzalez.
Peace out.
Professor Daniel Phil Gonzalez, Asian American Studies, Professor Emeritus, San Francisco State University, College of Ethnic Studies. Good friend of the show. Always, can count on Dan to bring up some things. And Bad Bunny, he liked Bad Bunny. Of course he liked Bad Bunny. Yeah, Bad Bunny won. He won. He won that. He won the week. It's a Bad Bunny week. Hey, if you're interested in where you can see my next shows, I'm doing my next one-man theater show at it's called Emil Amok Anchorman. I was watching the film Anchorman. That's a 2002 movie. That's like 24 years ago. So it's still funny, but I'm doing. It's not a take or a parody or Anchorman. I talk about my life in the media. That's March 14th, 15th, 16th, and 19th at playground-sf.org. Check it out. And then I'm going to be at the Fresno Rogue Festival, February 27th, 28th, and the 1st. And then Saturday, the following Saturday, go to roguefestival.org for tickets. Essentially, it's a show that I just did, but there's always something new because he keeps doing stuff. He keeps doing stuff. I mean, how? I mean, would the Obamas as apes or monkeys? I mean, he keeps doing stuff. So I'll be talking about that at the Fresno Rogue Festival, February 27th, 28th, the 1st. Go to roguefestival.org. You have to go to Fresno for that, though. Fresno is nice this time of year. It's not as hot. They've got big museums there. There's a great enchilada place. Vegan, not enchiladas. What are they? The other thing, tamale. A great vegan tamales in Fresno, in the Tower District. Okay, that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. Review this and clips of this, links of this to your friends. We end with a little loving kindness because Bad Bunny says love wins, right? Love beats hate, right? So, as my guru would say, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Till next time, Emil Guillermo. Mahal